Whatever you're thinking about today.
We are here on site at Occupy Boise. You can see the majestic Capitol building in the background there. I guess why we're here, it seems interesting to me that people can just work in this building over here, and it's like a marble castle. And yet, if you look around you, people are living out of shacks back here, made out of pallets and tents, as a protest, as a way to show people what we're here for. That there's huge discrepancies in this country. That when people can be over here in a big old marble castle, and then right across the street people are living like this, there's an imbalance. And I think that they've just furthered their purpose in imbalancing who we are. I don't know if this is like, I mean, I don't know how to feel about it, so I guess I'll just be real. I'm pissed off because like this is how people live. This is our, like, we've chosen to live here through winter. We've chosen to do this for a purpose. Like, it's not just like we're camping and roasting marshmallows, but then they're quick to make a law that just says get out of here, you know? And so I'm kind of infuriated that we can't even assemble anymore. We can't even really have free speech, because if they say that you can't speak by having a tent, that's limiting free speech. That's limiting people's rights to speak out as they see fit and as they see need to, and they are limiting people's assembly. Like, we're guaranteed the right to assemble. We're peacefully assembled here. We have been since November 5th. We haven't blown anything up. We haven't done anything wrong. We've been peaceful here. Yet we have to just like have these emergency laws passed. I mean, come on. Like, do you really trust your government when they're trying to do this? That's how I feel about it.
Every time we actually try to use any of our constitutional or Bill of Rights, we make a law, an emergency law. We can't even use them. They're meaningless now.
We're free to do as they tell us. I'm fed up with that shit.
You know, the senator came and said that, what did he say? He said, oh, I understand what you guys are trying to say. I just think there are other ways that you could say it, but it's free speech. It's free for a reason. You get to choose how you practice it. And by saying there are other ways, that's not for him to decide.
They took away my home this morning. Everything I own is on this property. I don't own anything else. Like, everything I own is in a backpack on my back. I was willing to give everything up for this and for a social consciousness shift. Like, we need more awareness. We need people waking up more and more. So, you know, I'm affected by this directly. It affects my home. I live here. I have nowhere else to go, and so, you know, thank you guys for taking my home away from me.
I know, it's not going to stop it, though.
No.
Progression always happens slowly.
That's right.
It's just a minor setback.
You can't kill ideas. You can take tents down and take pallet shacks down, but you can't kill consciousness. You can't kill people's ideas. You can't stop the fury that's building up in so many people around this country that want change. And even if you don't know what the problem is, if you don't know how to address it, there's something that's wrong with society right now. I think everybody feels that urgency. We're not taking care of other human beings like we should. We care about the bottom line. We care about the dollar, the almighty dollar, and instead of human beings. You know, that's a problem that's all over the world right now. People are going to rise up regardless of if you take one organization down that has, you know, this amount of people here. You can take those down, but you cannot kill the ideas, and you cannot kill the revolution from happening.
This is just one way.
You can only try to stop it. Yeah, there's 1,000,001 ways to do this, but I mean, this is prime real estate right here because of the diversity of buildings. I mean, like, you have people living in a military tent and living in their tents, and then across the street there's this big marble castle that people go to just for work, and that's paid for by tax dollars, and this is all our own funding. That's paid by tax dollars, and yet people are freaking out in the public eye because we're using a little bit of electricity. You know, it's like your tax dollars have not gone so much to our electricity as they have to build this gargantuan castle back there behind us, where people congregate to control and limit people.
There are
I don't
people
think that's right.
sleeping on the homeless shelter kitchen floors, and that's not an emergency. I don't get why, like, big buildings like that have enough space and room can't be the homeless shelters, because people live there. I don't know, just backwards.
There's some 700 children in the Boise area whose families are identified as homeless, and yet that's not an emergency whatsoever. But people trying to protest and actually congregate and stand up for their rights is a huge emergency that needs all these emergency clauses and uptight, stiff people over there sitting with their furrowed brow. I mean, really, do those people have peace within themselves if they're sitting there with a disgruntled face and trying to pass all these emergency laws? So they just don't want to see it. They don't want to admit the fact that there are people who have to live out of tents right now.
It makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah, it makes them
Rich
very
people
uncomfortable.
get uncomfortable by seeing poor people. Because otherwise they can forget about it.
To me, I always use the metaphor as like it's like a bird landing on a branch one morning. The bird's going out to watch the sunrise, and he sits on the branch, and he's taking his breaths, and he's looking out over creation. He's thinking to himself, his morning thoughts, and he's with himself. And in the process, he hears leaves off to the side on a tree, and these leaves are arguing amongst themselves and talking amongst themselves, and they're whispering, and they say amongst each other. One leaf is saying, well, I'm not a very big leaf, and so I feel intimidated by all these other leaves. And there's another leaf over on the same branch, and he's just bragging up a storm. Well, I'm so good at making chlorophyll. I'm such a big fat leaf. I'm happy with myself. And the other leaves are sitting there kind of grouped together talking about this other leaf. Well, this leaf has holes in it, and this leaf, isn't he's a little withered. He's brown. And the bird kind of chuckles to himself, and as he's flying away, he looks back and he says to the leaves, he said, you guys would all get along so much better if you would just realize that you're all the tree and stop separating yourselves. These people have separated themselves from the branch, the tree of life. They see themselves as individual leaves. They don't care about the other leaves on the same exact tree. And I think that's a problem. You can't see yourself as a separate entity from any part of life. And anything you do unto others that limits them and controls them, limits and controls an aspect of yourself. And we need to wake up. We need to see ourselves as trees instead of leaves and get over this egoic mentality that seeks to limit other people, because we're only limiting ourselves in that respect. So that's my 2 minutes.